Assalamu alaikum students. Today we will discuss postmodernism in the context of style. I mean the writing style of postmodernists. First point is schizophrenia. By definition, schizophrenia is a mental disorder characterized by disruptions in thought processes, perceptions, emotional responsiveness, and social interactions. What is it? It is a mental disorder which is all the time characterized by a sort of change, confusion, and disturbance in thought processes, perceptions, emotional responsiveness, and social interactions. Although the course of schizophrenia varies among individuals, it is typically persistent and can be both severe and disabling. As you know that all the patients are different so far as the nature of their disease as well as the ratio of their disease, and in the same way the cooperation as well as response of all those patients are concerned. So in the same way the severity as well as the persistence of schizophrenia in all those patients will also be different. This was the definition, and now we will see the use of schizophrenic style in postmodern literature. An important aspect of postmodernism in literature and entertainment media is the relaxation of strict timelines, sometimes called discontinuous time. So, what is it in literature and entertainment media? It is relaxation of strict timelines, which is also called as discontinuous time. Most often, an author constructs a sequence of events that have no time relationships to each other. In literature, this requires the reader to create a timeline which the author may disrupt later in the story. What is the requirement for the reader? So far as this style is concerned, the reader is required to create timeline which can be disrupted by the author at any time, at any stage in the story. In some TV shows, this is particularly important when the timeline would have two events happening at the same time. It may be called juxtaposition of images or juxtaposition of events. So the writers show one event, then show another event that happened at the same time. And according to Jameson, the whole process of juxtaposition of the events as well as the timeline created by the reader and then disrupted by the author at any stage of the story, as well as relaxation of strict timelines or discontinuous time, the whole process is called schizophrenia. Here is the first image for your clearer understanding. Look at the image. You are going to have a split personality image in this picture. And you can say that the character has created many other selves for himself or herself, and many other personalities, you may say, and all the time he or she is busy in talking or doing some task or activities with these personalities, and it is a severe kind of mental disorder, and its treatment is also very difficult and painful. Another image is here for you, and here is the two aspects of one personality are shown. In the apparent aspect of personality, this character is looking only disturbed due to some problem, but behind the screen our internal being is completely disturbed and suffering from some disorder, in just because of the thought process which is changed, or just because of emotional response which is changed, or she is suffering from some pain. Other point so far as style is concerned is recurring characters. A recurring character is a fictional character, usually in a prime time TV series, who frequently appears from time to time during the series run. And some authors introduce a single character into several different works that will also be a recurring character. We may quote the name of Kurt Vonnegut, who does so with Kilgore Trout and 12 Midorians in his several novels. In other words, you can give the example that presentation of same name in different works like John or James for males and Caddy and Rose for females is also one of the example of recurring characters. Look at the image and try to understand how one character can be called a recurring character. or how one character is being uh, again booked by the same author in another series or in another book or novel or any fictional work. Next point is irony. Irony is specialized use of language in which the opposite of the literal meaning is intended. Its former use often had the intent to provoke a change in behavior from those who were the object of the irony. But for the postmodernist, the writer merely pokes fun at the object of the irony without the intention of making a social or any other kind of change. Now, authorial intrusion. Authorial intrusion basically is a literary technique authors may use to communicate directly with their reader, speaking to them as themselves rather than through the guise of a character's dialogue to comment on the story, perhaps to give their opinion on the events of the novel or to hint at what is to come. For this, you can say that occasionally the author will speak directly to the audience or to a character in the text in the course of a work. But he will not speak or he will not uh, speak directly to the audience as a character in the tale, but he will speak in the story as a writer. So this is the most important point so far as I'm sorry, authorial intrusion is concerned. You may quote the example of Kurt Vonnegut again over here because he has does this in several of his novels, and the best example is Breakfast of Champions. Next point is self-reflexivity. Here is the image to show this particular idea. Look at the image for a while and try to get the idea which the artist wanted to convey to you all. Another image. Look at the image for a while and note down what sort of idea you are getting from this particular image. Now the detail. Self-reflexivity is the examination of one's own beliefs and perceptions, and in 1986 Burnham described self-reflexivity as the manner in which practitioners evaluate and observe the effects of their own practice. Many literary works make comments about the works themselves, reflecting on the writing or the meaning of the work. What is their main concern? Their main concern is the reflection on the writing as well as the meaning of the work. These works are said to be self conscious. In some instances, the work will make a comment about itself in a critical way, making a self reflexive comment on the whole process of writing, reading, or understanding literature. But the most important thing to note down related to self reflexivity is that these works are self conscious works and it is the examination of one's own beliefs and perceptions. So the view will be critical in its literal as well as in its advanced meaning. Now, the next point related to style is collage. Look at this particular image, and you may familiar with this. I know that most of the people are familiar with this word collage because it is related to the gallery of your smartphones, and you are going to paste your pictures in one frame, different pictures in one frame, or different images in one frame. So, what is a collage according to literary point of view? It is a piece of art made by sticking various different materials such as photographs and pieces of paper or fabric onto a backing. We can say that this style is characterized by an often random association of dissimilar objects without any intentional connection between them or without a specified purpose for these associations. For example, the rapid presentation of bits and pieces from old news tapes that are often used at the beginning of news programs is a collage. You may quote the example of old news tapes related to the past, but now you are going to present the bits and pieces of those tapes for presentation of news programs. While it intends to introduce the news, it is not the news, nor is it any hint of the news to come. Now, prose poetry. What is prose poetry? It is poetry written in prose form instead of words form, while preserving poetic qualities such as heightened imagery, paradoxes, and emotional effects. Poetry is all the time related to imagery. Different images which are used by the poet to convey his or her ideas to the reader. And what is paradoxes? It is placing of clauses and phrases one after another, but in prose poetry. And all these images and paradoxes are there to incite emotions in the readers. This idea seems to be a contradiction in terms, but it is an effective style of writing. The passage looks like a paragraph of prose writing, but the content is poetic in language and construction. Rather than being a literal statement, the language in this paragraph is more figurative. So keep these steps in your mind that the content is poetic in language. It must not at all be completely literal, and the language must be figurative. Now, parody and pastiche. What is parody? An imitation of the style of a particular writer, artist, or genre with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect is parody. The general effect is to cast ridicule on the mannerisms or eccentricities of the original. The mannerisms and eccentricities are all the time ridiculed in parody. What is pastiche? An artistic work in a style that imitates that of another work, artist, or period is pastiche. It is the imitation or a pasting together of the mannerisms of another's works, but without the satiric impulse or the humor. Satire and humor is not at all intended by using another people or another writer's work as a pastiche. Most often, the writers will take the work of another and restructure it to make a different impression on the reader than that of the original author. Some writers lift whole passages from others verbatim, resulting in something quite different from the original writer's material. And we can quote Jameson, who said that because there is no longer a normal language system, so only pastiche is possible. For creating something original, normal language system must be present over there. When this normal language system is absent, so pastiche is only possible over there. Our last point is simulacra. Look at the image, and now this one. Try to get some idea so far as simulacra is concerned. And now the explanation. The term simulacra comes from Plato, and it means false copy or a debased reflection of the original that is inferior to the original. A famous author, Jean Baudrillard, claims that a simulacrum is a perfect copy that has no original. What he said? He said that simulacrum is a perfect copy that has no original. The postmodernists use this technique of copying or imitating others without reservation or hesitation. They treat it as just another process in their creative effort. So, whatever they are copying, whatever they are imitating from other writers' work, there is not at all any sort of hesitation so far as postmodernists are concerned, and they take it as another and different process of their creative efforts. And many science fiction movies deal with simulacrum characters. We can quote the movie Alien, and especially its character Ash. In this movie, one of the crew members, Ash, is an android, and but one of such high quality that is only revealed when he cuts and the blood is a white liquid. Or you may quote that when Ash, which is an android, is cuts and the blood is a white liquid. Another example is of Blade Runner, and we can get replicants from Blade Runner or simulacra who desire a longer life. Third example is Data from Star Trek. The Next Generation is a simulacrum character with many human traits, but one who wants to have human emotions too. This slide is based on another detail for simulacra, that it is an image or representation of someone or something. You may say that a small scale simulacrum of a skyscraper, and another idea or meaning is that simulacra is an unsatisfactory imitation or substitute. So we can say that it is a bland simulacrum of American soul music. Students, this was all about the style of postmodernist writers. Thank you very much for listening.